Hello everyone, Ace here, and today we're going to have another look at some history, specifically regarding one of the most important aircraft in all of history that has nevertheless apparently flown under the radar. No pun intended. And the plane in question is the Sikorsky Ilya Muromets, which was actually the world's first heavy bomber, and saw use with the Russian Empire during World War I. Now I do have to say that I consider Russia's involvement during World War I to be rather interesting. On the one hand, it is no doubt true that the Tsarist Empire simply lacked the industrial capacity to wage a war for an extended period of time, something that's quite easily demonstrated by the logistical issues that the Russian military had throughout the war, as well as the end result itself for Russia. But that said, there were also some genuinely brilliant minds within the empire, and this led to Russia producing small numbers of equipment that would be considered ahead of their time. And perhaps nowhere is this better demonstrated than with the Ilya Muromets bombers, as well as their creator, the legendary aviation engineer himself, Igor Sikorsky, a man whose impact on the aviation industry could be compared to the likes of Antony Fokker himself. But regarding the story of the Ilya Muromets aircraft themselves, it's important to note that they didn't actually start out as military bombers, but rather civilian airliners, and that even before the war had broken out, this type of aircraft had already made a name for itself, setting records for not only the number of passengers they could carry, but also the distance that they could travel in a single flight. That said, by the time war had broken out, only 2 aircraft had been completed, and both were quickly pressed into military service. However, by the end of 1914, Russia would have no less than 10 of these aircraft, with a grand total of at least 80 being produced by war's end, which made up around 1/6 of the total strength of the Imperial Russian Air Force. But you may now be wondering how well these aircraft perform in battle exactly, and the answer seems to be quite well. In fact, despite technically being a pre-war design, the Ilya Muromets itself was designed so well that it took other nations years to catch up. Of course, its original purpose as an airliner meant that it also had to carry quite a substantial weight, meaning that for a design that originally came about in 1913, it could carry a substantial bomb load. In addition, the fact that this aircraft was a 4-engine design gave it a huge advantage in terms of reliability over other contemporary aircraft. And adding to that is the fact that the design had a few other innovations as well, such as a completely enclosed cockpit that actually offered extremely good visibility, including beneath the aircraft, a feature that no doubt improved the effectiveness of its role as a heavy bomber. Perhaps the most impressive elements of the Ilya Muromets, however, were its ability to defend itself and durability, especially given the time that it was in use. Now, the specifics of the defenses of the Ilya Muromets actually changed quite considerably during the course of the war, as many different variations of the bomber were made, with each of these variations seeing heavy modifications in their own right. But regardless, German and Austro-Hungarian pilots found it extremely difficult to bring these things down. In fact, only one Ilya Muromets bomber was lost to enemy fighters during the entire duration of the war. By contrast, the Ilya Muromets planes themselves were known to have shot down at least 12 German and Austro-Hungarian planes, meaning that this bomber aircraft actually had a kill ratio of 12-1, which may actually be the highest kill ratio for any strategic bomber to date, meaning that this aircraft is still to this day likely a record holder. But to be honest, I don't even think that does enough justice here, for a kill ratio of 12-1 is actually so phenomenally good that it's actually better than some of the best fighter planes produced during World War II. But moving on, I do need to mention that the Ilya Muromets itself had become obsolete by the end of 1916. However, it is known that by this point the aircraft had already inspired German strategic bomber designs as well as British strategic bomber designs. So despite being considered such an obscure aircraft today, the Ilya Muromets nevertheless had a massive impact on aviation history. And I hope you can see now why I've decided to cover this airplane, because its story is one that does deserve to be told. And on that note, it is my hope that I can find yet another story from history that I can share with you all. But in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.